Hello students, happy morning. I am Shama, your English teacher, and I am back with another session. Let me ask you a question now. Are you listening to the class? Hope the answer is yes. Are you listening to the class is an interrogative sentence. Once recollect what we have discussed yesterday. An interrogative sentence is a sentence which ends with question mark and it's an interrogation, right? So I am asking you a question. Are you listening to the class? Now, if I have to change this interrogative sentence to declarative sentence, what shall I do? We have to just take the helping verb after the subject. Then it becomes a declarative sentence. Like the question is, are you listening to the class? This is an interrogation, right? Then the declarative will be, you are listening to the class. So today's topic is transformation of sentences. Declarative sentences can be changed to interrogative sentences by shifting the position of the auxiliary verb or helping verb. We have already discussed about helping verbs. Be form verbs am, are, is, was and were. Do, does, did. Modal auxiliary verbs can, must, may, might, will, would, shall, should. And also have, has and had also are included in this. After explaining these three, we'll go to the fourth one, right? As I told you, we have to shift the position of the helping verb so that we can change a declarative sentence to an interrogative sentence. Now here this sentence, Pia was knitting a sweater. Was here is helping verb. Now we have to shift the position of helping verb so that we get a interrogative sentence. We have to write this in the beginning so that we get an interrogation. Was Pia knitting a sweater? Pia was knitting a sweater is a declarative sentence, whereas was Pia knitting a sweater becomes an interrogative sentence. Another example, he is listening to music. It's a declarative sentence. By just changing the position of the helping verb, we can change this declarative sentence into an interrogative sentence. Is he listening to music? It becomes an interrogative sentence. But for all the sentences, we don't have helping verbs or auxiliary verbs. So for such sentences, what we have to do to change a declarative sentence to an interrogative sentence? What we have to do is, we just have to note what is the tense of the main verb given. Now let us see some examples here. If you look at the sentence, she plays the piano, we don't have any helping verb here. But this is a declarative sentence which we have to change it into an interrogation. So what we have to do is, if there is no auxiliary verb in the declarative sentence, we note the tense of the verb and change it suitably. We then use a suitable form of the auxiliary verb do at the beginning of the sentence and ask a question. Look at the example here. She plays the piano. Here we have main verb plays. We don't have any helping verb here. So we have to choose a suitable auxiliary verb of do. So does she play the piano becomes an interrogation. So does is the word which we used here. Another one, they play cricket well. Here play is the main verb. We don't have any helping verb here. So we have to use suitable auxiliary verb. That is do. Do they play cricket well? The third one, he played the piano. I used the same sentence but the tense is changed here. He played is the past tense verb, right? So for this, the suitable auxiliary verb is did. Did he play the piano? Is an interrogation. Some students get confused what auxiliary verb to be written, whether it is do, does or did in the sentence. For that, I want to give you a small tip so that you can write easily the auxiliary verbs do, does, did. If you get the main verb in present tense, that is play, we have to divide that word into do plus play. So the auxiliary verb used is do. If the main verb given is plays, which is also a present tense, for that observe this S, then divide the word into does plus play. Remember, you should not write again plays here. When you are writing does here, it is just a play, right? If you get played, which is a past tense verb, for that you should divide that as did plus play. Did is the past tense and play is the main verb. So for play we get do auxiliary verb. For plays, does is the auxiliary verb. For played, did is the auxiliary verb. And the main verb will be play for all the three. For some declarative sentences, we have modal auxiliary verbs. Modal auxiliary verbs are can, must, may, might, will, would, shall, should. If we get these kind of modal auxiliary verbs in the declarative sentence, how to change it? Let us see. John Smith will be the next president. Here, will is the modal auxiliary verb. We have to place this in the beginning. We have to change the position of modal auxiliary verb so that we get an interrogation. Will John Smith be the next president? Becomes an interrogative. Another example, let us see. I shall call the cab. Shall I call the cab? Is the interrogation. We changed here the position of the modal auxiliary verb shall. Shall is placed in the beginning and we converted it into an interrogation. Now the fourth type. If we get has, had or have in the declarative sentence, we have to use these verbs in the beginning to make it an interrogative sentence. See here, he has lived more than 80 years. This has to be placed in the beginning. The position of this verb should be changed so that we get the interrogation. Has he lived more than 80 years? Now this becomes an interrogative sentence. One more example. You have got a nice pair of shoes. This is a declarative sentence. Change the position of have. Have you got a nice pair of shoes? This becomes an interrogation. Let us quickly recap today's topic, transformational sentences. In this topic, we discussed how to change the declarative sentences into interrogative sentences. By changing the position of the auxiliary verb, we get an interrogative sentence for the given declarative sentences. Right? We have be form verbs is, am, are, were, and we also have modal auxiliary verbs and we have has, had, have. For these sentences, for the declarative sentences in which we get these kind of auxiliary verbs, we directly change the position of the auxiliary verb. But for the second type, which we have discussed earlier, in which there is no helping verb or auxiliary verb, there we have to see the tense of the main verb, as we discussed do, did and does. Hope you understand this session well. Have a nice day, children.